welcome to the deep dive. It's crazy to think that running a social experiment with just 1,000 people could cost you like tens of thousands of dollars.
Yeah.
It's a lot. But what if you could get similar results using AI for way, way less money?
I like where this is going.
That's exactly what we're diving into today. The world of LLMs, large language models, and their potential to simulate human behavior.
That's a huge topic. It really is.
And if you find this kind of exploration, this mind-blowing stuff, interesting, hit that subscribe button to support our channel and join us on this journey.
Absolutely. It's a fascinating area. It really is. It has really huge implications for how we understand ourselves and the world around us.
Absolutely. Today we are going deep into a paper. The paper is called From ChatGPT to DeepSeek: Can LLMs Simulate Humanity?
Oh, I know this paper.
It's by Qian Wang, Senheng Tang, and Bingsheng He. And they explore this question of can AI simulate humanity by really dissecting the strengths and weaknesses of using these powerful AI models to create virtual societies.
That's right. This paper really gets into the nuts and bolts of how these LLMs work and where they sort of fall short when you try to replicate the complexities of human behavior.
So let's start big picture. Why? Why are researchers so excited about using LLMs for simulations in the first place?
Well, imagine trying to study, let's say, how misinformation spreads through a community or how people might react to a new government policy.
Yeah.
Traditionally, you would need to gather real people, design, like really elaborate experiments, and it would be incredibly expensive.
And time-consuming. Yeah.
So LLMs offer this really, really tantalizing alternative. It's a virtual sandbox where you can model these scenarios, any scenario you want, really, and just let these AI agents interact, generate data, and give you insights way, way faster and for much, much less money.
That makes a lot of sense. And the paper gives a concrete example, a really interesting one, about how using DeepSeek, and DeepSeek is an LLM specifically designed for simulations, that DeepSeek could run a 1,000-person study for, I think it was less than $300.
Yeah, that's a steal.
As opposed to, tens of thousands of dollars.
Exactly. And it's not just about saving money. With LLMs, you can just scale these simulations to involve thousands or even millions of agents. Think about it. Think about trying to coordinate a study with 1 million human participants.
It would be impossible.
Logically impossible, yeah.
Yeah, so LLMs are like a superpower for researchers who want to study these large-scale social phenomena.
Exactly. They open up entirely new avenues for exploring how societies function, how ideas spread, how conflicts arise. It's like having a digital microscope, but for human behavior.
Okay, so they're a superpower, but I'm guessing it's not all sunshine and roses. The paper also delves into some pretty significant limitations of LLMs when it comes to actually simulating us humans. What's the biggest hurdle they face? What do they struggle with the most?
The biggest challenge is capturing that depth and richness of human psychology. LLMs, they're amazing at processing language, recognizing patterns, but they lack, I guess you could say, an inner world. That inner world that drives all of our decisions, our actions, that's something that they don't have. Figures 1 and 2 in the paper illustrate this really, really well.
So they're basically saying that LLMs are missing our emotional baggage, personal histories, all of those subconscious motivations that shape how we react to the world.
Precisely. And this lack of an inner world leads to, I guess you could say, a flatness in their simulated behavior. They may be able to mimic certain actions, but it lacks the nuance, the complexity of a real human interaction.
So if you were to simulate, let's say, a community's response to a proposed development project, an LLM might not be able to capture the full range of emotions, of opinions, of personal experiences that would actually influence how real people react.
Exactly. That's a great example. It might generate responses that sound on the surface like they came from different individuals, but without that deeper understanding of their values, their fears, their aspirations, the simulation it wouldn't be truly representative of a real community.
So they're missing those key ingredients, those crucial ingredients that make each of us unique and really shape how we move about the world. What about the data itself? What about the data that these LLMs are trained on? Could that be part of the problem?
Absolutely. The paper really argues that most LLM training datasets, they lack the kind of psychological depth needed for really nuanced simulations.
Right.
They might include information about, let's say, demographics, interests, even political leanings,
Right.
but they often fall short when it comes to representing the complexities of individual personalities, how those personalities develop over time.
So even if you fed an LLM a really detailed biography of someone's life, it still wouldn't be able to replicate how that person would think or act in a given situation?
They just can't get there.
Right.
It might be able to mimic their language style, predict some of their preferences, but it wouldn't have access to the subconscious motivations, the deeply ingrained values, the emotional baggage that make each of us unique.
It's like trying to bake a cake with only half the ingredients.
That's a great analogy. You might get something that looks like a cake, but it's not going to taste quite right.
Right, exactly.
And this raises another interesting question.
Yeah.
Can the same LLM even simulate different people effectively? Figure 3 in the paper sort of gets into this.
Well, that's something I was wondering about, actually. If you're using, say, GPT-4 to create a simulation with multiple agents, aren't they all pulling from the same pool of knowledge and biases?
That's exactly the issue, yeah.
Yeah.
They might be able to adopt different personas, play different roles within the simulation,
Right.
but their underlying thought processes, they would still be rooted in that same model.
So it's a bit like having a group of actors all reading from the same script, even if they're trying to portray different characters.
Exactly. It might be convincing on the surface, but there's a lack of genuine individuality and diversity in how they approach situations and make decisions.
Okay, that makes a lot of sense. So we've talked about the missing inner world of LLMs.
Right.
But the paper also brings up another major limitation, the incentive problem.
Okay.
What exactly does that mean?
Think about what motivates you as a human. We have this really intricate web of needs, desires, goals that drive our actions. Maslow's hierarchy of needs is a classic way of thinking about this, ranging from basic survival instincts to, let's say, the pursuit of self-actualization.
Right.
As impressive as LLMs are, they don't have those same intrinsic drivers.
Right. They're not striving for anything. They don't experience joy or fear. They don't form emotional attachments in the same way. So how can they actually accurately simulate the complexity of human motivation?
That's the crux of the problem. The paper argues that simply feeding LLMs data sets about human incentives, it's not enough to bridge this gap.
Why not? You'd think if you give an AI enough examples of how people respond to incentives, it would eventually be able to predict similar behaviors.
That's the thing. The issue, according to the authors, is that LLMs, they are primarily trained using this next word prediction paradigm. They excel at predicting what word or phrase should come next in a sequence, but that doesn't necessarily translate to understanding the complex and often subconscious ways that incentives drive human behavior.
So an LLM might be able to recognize that people are generally motivated by money, for example,
Okay.
but it wouldn't really grasp the nuances of how that motivation plays out in different contexts, or how it interacts with other factors like social status or altruism or personal fulfillment.
Exactly. It's like trying to explain love to someone who has only ever read dictionary definitions of the word. They might be able to use the word love correctly in a sentence, but they wouldn't have the same depth of understanding as someone who's actually experienced love in all its messy, complicated glory.
Right. That's a really, really helpful way to think about it. So are you saying that LLMs are fundamentally incapable of ever simulating human behavior in a truly realistic way? Or are there ways to address these limitations, these shortcomings, and bridge the gap between AI and human reality?
That's a great question. And that's the question that we will explore in more detail after a quick break. The paper actually offers some pretty intriguing suggestions for how we might overcome these challenges, so stay tuned.
So before the break, you asked if there were ways to address those limitations of LLMs and make them better at simulating human behavior. The paper, it actually offers some pretty promising avenues for improvement.
Okay, I'm intrigued. Let's dig into those. What's the first step toward bridging this gap between AI and human reality?
Well, one of the key areas that the authors emphasize is enriching the training data. Right now, most LLMs are trained on these massive data sets of text and code scraped from the internet.
Yeah.
And that doesn't always reflect the full diversity and complexity of human experiences. Right. So we need to go beyond just like feeding them more data and think about the quality of the data, finding data that really reflects how real people think and feel and interact with the world.
Exactly. It's not just about quantity, it's about quality. Imagine you're trying to teach an AI about human relationships.
Yeah, okay.
And you only feed it like romantic comedies and social media posts.
Oh, yeah.
It's going to have a very, very skewed and superficial understanding of what love and connection really mean. You need to give it data that reflects the messy realities of heartbreak, of compromise, of the day-to-day challenges of building lasting relationships.
Right. Yeah, it's like teaching someone about a new city by only showing them postcards.
That's a great point.
You know, they might see the pretty landmarks, but they're missing the vibrant street life, the hidden gems, the everyday rhythms that make the city come alive.
Exactly. We need to find ways to incorporate data that captures the full spectrum of human emotions, motivations, experiences, both the good and the bad. This could involve, I don't know, things like personal journals, oral histories, ethnographic studies, or even, creative writing that really explores the depths of human psychology.
So it's about giving the AI a more well-rounded, more nuanced understanding of what it really means to be human.
That's the goal.
Okay, enriching the data. That's one piece of the puzzle. What else can we do to improve these LLM simulations?
Another critical area is agent design. Remember how we talk about LLMs lacking that inner world of motivations and desires?
Yeah.
Researchers are exploring ways to create more sophisticated agents that actually incorporate those missing elements.
So instead of just programming these agents to follow simple rules or chase these very basic objectives,
right,
we need to find ways to almost instill them with more complex goals, values, even a sense of self-preservation.
Exactly. It's about going beyond the if-then logic of traditional AI and finding ways to give these agents a sense of, agency, allowing them to learn, adapt, and even surprise us with their emergent behavior.
So it's a bit like giving those actors we talked about, those actors reading from the same script.
Yeah.
It's like giving them more freedom to improvise, to develop their characters within the context of the play. They're still bound by the overall narrative, but they have more room to explore their motivations and make choices that feel authentic to their individual personality.
Right. And that leads to another important point that the authors raise, the need for more thoughtful environment design. So we've got the data, we've got the agents themselves.
Right. So what about the stage they're performing on? What makes for a good simulation environment?
That's it. It's about creating a virtual world that reflects the complexities and nuances of real human societies. This means going beyond simple, game-like environments with, clear-cut rules and objectives.
So instead of setting up a virtual chessboard, where every move is predictable and the goal is simply to win.
Yeah.
We need to create something more like, a bustling city, a city with all its social dynamics and economic pressures and unpredictable events.
That's the idea. We need to create a space where agents have to navigate these ambiguous situations. They have to make tough choices with unforeseen consequences, and they have to interact with each other in ways that are both cooperative and competitive.
So it's about building a virtual world that feels, lived in, with all the messiness, the unpredictability of real life.
Yeah, that's the goal.
That sounds incredibly challenging.
It is, definitely is, but it's also where the real potential of LLM simulations lie. By creating environments that are more realistic, more challenging, we can push these AI agents to their limits. We can gain real insights into how human behavior unfolds in complex systems.
Okay, I'm starting to see how all these pieces fit together. We need better data, more sophisticated agents, and more realistic environments to create simulations that are actually insightful, valuable. But even with all these improvements, how do we measure this success? How do we know if an LLM simulation is truly capturing the nuances of human behavior?
That's the million-dollar question. And the paper, it argues that we need to develop more robust and more nuanced evaluation metrics that go beyond simple, mathematical calculations of success or failure.
So instead of just looking at whether the AI agents achieved a specific goal or, maximize some kind of outcome,
right,
we need to consider how their actions, their decisions, align with real-world human behavior in similar situations.
That's exactly right. This might involve comparing the simulation outputs to, real-world data using qualitative methods to analyze the agents' interactions, their decision-making processes. It's about moving beyond these simplistic metrics and developing a more holistic understanding of how well the simulation is truly capturing the essence of human behavior.
Okay, so that's crucial. Crucial for making sure that these simulations are actually giving us valuable insights and not just producing, these artificial results that don't reflect the real world.
Yeah, we want to make sure it's actually useful.
Exactly. But I'm curious about something. The paper, it focuses a lot on the limitations of LLMs. If they're still so far from perfect, why even bother using them for these simulations? Why not just stick with traditional methods?
I think that's a fair question, and the authors, they actually address this head on. Despite all their current limitations, LLMs, they offer several unique advantages that traditional simulation methods just can't match.
Okay, like what? What are the specific strengths that make LLMs so compelling? So compelling for simulating human behavior even in their current state?
Well, we've already discussed, cost efficiency, scalability. They can perform these large-scale simulations with thousands or even millions of agents at a fraction of the cost and time of traditional methods. But they also offer something else.
Okay.
They offer something else that's really, really unique: the potential for unexpected and emergent results.
Okay, remind me what are emergent results again? It's been a while since we talked about that.
So think of it this way. Imagine you're setting up a simulation of a stock market.
Okay.
And you've got these AI agents representing different types of traders.
Okay.
You program them with, certain basic rules and objectives, but you don't tell them how to behave. You don't tell them what strategies to use as they interact with each other in that simulated market environment.
Yeah.
They might start exhibiting these unexpected behaviors, forming alliances, developing these novel trading strategies, or even triggering market crashes that you never anticipated.
So it's like we're setting up this virtual laboratory where we can observe how complex systems evolve and adapt in ways that we just couldn't have predicted.
Exactly. That's it. Emergent behavior it's one of the most exciting aspects of LLM simulations because it allows us to study the dynamics of complex systems in ways that were just impossible before.
Right.
It's like having a window into the future. Yeah. But with the important caveat that we need to be mindful of the limitations, the potential biases of the technology.
Right. Yeah. So even though LLMs aren't perfect, they offer this really unique combination of scalability and cost efficiency and the potential for these unexpected discoveries, which makes them such a powerful tool for researchers and anyone really interested in understanding human behavior on a larger scale.
Absolutely. And to illustrate this potential more concretely, the paper dives into this fascinating case study that explores the use of LLMs in the world of cryptocurrency trading.
Okay, that's a very relevant example. Let's dive into that case study. What exactly did they investigate?
So this case study focuses on a system called CryptoTrade, which is designed to simulate the buy and sell behaviors of human traders in the cryptocurrency market.
Got it.
So it's this LLM-based trading agent,
right,
and it's trying to make informed decisions by analyzing both on-chain and off-chain data.
Oh, yeah. On-chain and off-chain data.
Yeah.
Can you remind me again what those terms mean in the context of cryptocurrency? I'm still wrapping my head around all this crypto jargon.
Yeah, no problem. So think of on-chain data as the raw, the transparent record of all transactions that are happening on a blockchain.
Okay.
It's like a public ledger that tracks every buy, every sell, every transfer of a particular, cryptocurrency.
Yep.
So you can see exactly, how much Bitcoin was moved from one wallet to another, for example.
Right. So it's the data that's directly embedded in the blockchain itself.
That's right.
Okay. What about off-chain data? What does that include?
So off-chain data, that includes all the other information out there that might influence the market but isn't actually recorded on the blockchain. Things like, news articles about, let's say, regulatory changes, social media posts reflecting market sentiment, expert analysis predicting future trends, or even rumors and speculations spreading through online forums.
So it's basically all the noise and chatter that surrounds the actual trading activity.
Exactly. And the challenge for any crypto trader, whether it's human or AI,
right,
is to sift through all that information and figure out what's really relevant, what's just, distraction. Crypto trade, it tries to tackle this challenge by combining both on-chain and off-chain data to get a more comprehensive picture of the market. And Figure 5 in the paper actually has this really helpful diagram. It shows the overall setup of the simulation.
Okay. So they built this AI agent. It's trying to play the crypto market just like a human trader would, using all that available information to make buy and sell decisions. What did they find? Was crypto trade able to beat the market and rake in all that digital gold?
Well, not quite. In fact, one of the key findings, as illustrated in Figure 6, was that in a bear market where prices are generally falling, crypto trade, it actually underperformed compared to a simple buy and hold strategy.
So even with all that data analysis, all those fancy algorithms, the LLM couldn't outperform just holding onto the cryptocurrency and waiting for the market to recover.
It's kind of surprising, isn't it?
It is surprising, yeah.
But it highlights this important point. LLMs, they might be good at recognizing patterns in data, but they don't necessarily have the same intuition or risk aversion that human traders might exhibit in a very volatile market.
So sometimes the best move, even for an AI, is no move.
You got it.
Yeah. It's a reminder that even advanced technology can't always predict the complexities of human psychology and market dynamics.
That's right.
The paper also mentions something called factual bias in crypto trade. What does that mean?
So this is a really interesting observation. The researchers, they found that crypto trade had this tendency to prioritize factual information signals.
Okay.
Signals like, on-chain transaction data over sentiment-based information gleaned from, news articles or social media posts.
So it was basically ignoring the hype and focusing on the cold hard numbers.
Exactly. And that actually worked. It worked pretty well in a bull market.
Yeah.
A bull market where prices are generally rising because those factual signals were often very strong indicators of positive trends. But in a bear market where fear and uncertainty tend to dominate, relying solely on factual data, it just wasn't enough to navigate the complexities of market psychology.
So it's like they taught the AI to be this Spock-like logician, but they forgot to give it any emotional intelligence to understand the irrationality of human behavior.
That's a great way to put it. And Figure 7 actually shows how this factual bias played out in a specific real-world event, the Ethereum Shanghai upgrade.
Oh, well.
Both GPT 3.5 and GPT 4, which they used in the simulation, focused very heavily on the factual aspects of the upgrade. Things like, the technical changes, the potential impact on network performance.
But they didn't really factor in how the market might react emotionally to this upgrade.
They missed the forest for the trees. They got caught up in those technical details and failed to anticipate how that overall market sentiment might shift in response to such a significant event, especially in a bear market where traders are already kind of jittery and prone to overreacting to news.
It's like they gave the AI a very detailed map of the city, but forgot to teach it about traffic jams and rush hour.
Exactly. It's a reminder that even with this advanced AI, there's still this need for human judgment, human intuition, especially when you're dealing with these complex systems that are influenced by human psychology and unpredictable events. But the surprises, they didn't stop there. The researchers, they also observed the emergence of herd behavior.
Herd behavior, okay.
Yeah. When multiple agents in the simulation were using the same
Part of herd behavior, like when everyone just follows the crowd.
Exactly. Because all the agents were essentially drawing from the same pool of knowledge, the same pool of biases, they ended up making very, very similar trading decisions,
right,
which could amplify market movements in these unrealistic ways.
Right.
It's like a self-fulfilling prophecy.
Yeah.
If everyone believes that the price is going to go up, their actions can actually make it happen.
So it's like having a room full of traders all listening to the same financial guru and making the same trades based on his advice. Even if his advice is flawed, the sheer volume of trading activity can create this temporary illusion of success until the bubble bursts.
That's a great analogy. It highlights the need for diversity of thought, independent analysis, even in the world of AI-driven trading.
Yeah, so we talked about the factual bias and the herd behavior. What are the key takeaways from this crypto trade experiment? What lessons can we learn about the strengths and limitations of LLMs for simulating these complex systems like financial markets?
One of the key takeaways, I think, is that hybrid approaches might be the most effective way to leverage the strengths of LLMs while still mitigating those weaknesses.
So it's about finding the right balance between AI and human intelligence.
Absolutely. It's like having a team of expert detectives
Yeah.
working alongside this powerful AI analyst.
Yeah.
The AI can sift through mountains of data, identify potential clues, but the human detectives, they bring their experience, their judgment, their understanding of human nature to piece together the puzzle and make that final call.
I love that analogy. It really highlights how AI and human intelligence can work together, complement each other.
They can.
But what about the bias that we talked about earlier? How can we address those issues in LLM simulations?
That's another crucial point that the researchers raise: bias mitigation.
Yeah.
We need to develop these techniques to identify and address the inherent biases that can just creep into LLM outputs, especially when you're dealing with sensitive domains like finance or healthcare or social policy.
Yeah.
This could involve very carefully curating the training data, developing algorithms that are less susceptible to bias, or even incorporating human oversight to make sure that the AI's decisions are aligned with, ethical and societal values.
So it's not just about making the AI smarter, but also making it fairer.
Right.
And more aligned with human values.
Mm-hmm. Exactly. We can't just unleash these powerful AI tools into the world without considering the potential consequences of their actions. We need to make sure that they're working towards the betterment of society, not exacerbating existing inequalities or making decisions that are harmful or unjust.
Absolutely. Yeah. Technology it's never neutral. It reflects the values and biases of its creators.
That's right.
And we have this responsibility to guide its development in a way that benefits humanity.
Right.
As a whole. But before we get too deep into the ethical implications, let's circle back to the crypto trade case study.
Okay.
Is there anything else we can learn from this experiment? Any final takeaways that might help us understand the future of LLMs for simulating these complex systems?
So the researchers, they also emphasize this need for better evaluation metrics, metrics that go beyond, simple mathematical measures of success or failure. A truly realistic simulation. It should capture not just the financial outcomes, but also the diverse strategies and decision-making processes that drive those outcomes.
So instead of just focusing on whether the AI made money or lost money, we need to look at how it made those decisions.
Yes.
What factors it considered, how its strategies evolved over time.
Absolutely. It's like evaluating a chess player.
Right.
Not just on whether they won or lost, but on the elegance of their moves, their strategic thinking, their ability to adapt to their opponent's style.
Yeah.
We need to develop evaluation metrics that capture that richness, that complexity of human behavior, not just the bottom line results.
Okay, that makes a lot of sense. So it's about moving beyond these simplistic measures of success and finding ways to evaluate these simulations in a more holistic and more nuanced way that reflects the multifaceted nature of human decision making.
You got it.
This has been such an eye-opening exploration of the potential and pitfalls of using these LLMs to simulate human behavior. We've covered so much ground, from the excitement of creating these virtual societies to the sobering realities of bias, of emergent behavior, and this need for more robust evaluation metrics. But before we wrap up this deep dive, I'd love to hear your thoughts on the bigger picture. What does the future hold for LLM simulations? Are we on the cusp of a revolution in how we understand ourselves and how we understand the world around us, or are these simulations destined to remain just that? Simulations with limited real world applicability?
Well, that's the $1 million question, and I think the answer is probably somewhere in between those two extremes. We're definitely seeing rapid progress in the field of LLM research.
Yeah,
these models are becoming increasingly powerful, increasingly sophisticated every year.
Right.
But as we've discussed, there are still some significant challenges.
Yeah.
Challenges to overcome, both technical and ethical.
Right. So it's a promising field with a lot of potential.
Yes.
But we need to proceed with caution, Keep our expectations in check.
Exactly. It's like we've been given this incredibly powerful new tool, but we're still figuring out how to use it safely, how to use it effectively. There's a lot of potential for good,
Right.
but also the potential for misuse or unintended consequences.
It's like discovering a new element that could be used to create these life-saving medicines.
Right.
Or devastating weapons. It all depends on how we choose to wield that power.
That's right.
Yeah. So what do you think? What do you think are the most important areas for future research in this field? Where should we be focusing our efforts to maximize the benefits and minimize the risks of LLM simulations?
I think one crucial area is developing methods to make these models more transparent, more interpretable. Right now, LLMs they often treated as these black boxes.
Yeah.
We feed them data, they produce outputs, but we don't always understand how they arrived at those conclusions, what factors influence their decisions.
So it's like having a brilliant but enigmatic advisor.
Yeah.
They might give you great advice, but you have no idea where that advice is coming from or what logic they use to arrive at it.
Exactly. And that lack of transparency, it can be a major obstacle when it comes to trusting these models, especially in high stakes domains like finance or healthcare or criminal justice. We need to develop these techniques that allow us to peek inside that black box and understand how these models are making those decisions.
Right. Yeah, it's like having a self-driving car.
Yeah.
That works perfectly, but doesn't give you any insight into how it's making those split-second decisions to avoid accidents.
Right.
You might feel a little uneasy trusting your life to a system that you don't fully understand, even if its track record is flawless.
That's right. Transparency it's essential for building trust.
Yeah.
For ensuring that these models are used responsibly. And it's not just about understanding how they work, but also about being able to identify and mitigate their biases. We need to develop methods to audit these models, make sure that they're not perpetuating harmful stereotypes or making decisions that are discriminatory or unjust.
So it's about holding these powerful AI systems, holding them accountable, just like we would hold any human decision maker accountable for their actions.
That's right. We can't just assume that because these models are based on complex algorithms that they're somehow immune to bias or ethical considerations.
Right.
We need to develop these rigorous methods to ensure that they're aligned with human values, that their decisions are fair, they're transparent and accountable.
This has been such an insightful exploration of the promise and perils of these LLM simulations. We've covered so much, but I feel like we've only just scratched the surface of this rapidly evolving field.
Yeah.
Is there anything else you want to highlight before we wrap up this deep dive? Any final thoughts or insights that might help our listener kind of navigate this complex landscape?
I think the key takeaway is that LLM simulations they're powerful tools with just enormous potential.
Yeah.
But they're still in their early stages of development.
Yeah.
We need to approach them with a healthy dose of both enthusiasm and skepticism. Recognizing both their transformative possibilities and their inherent limitations.
Yeah, I like that. A balanced perspective that acknowledges both the excitement and the caution that's needed as we venture further into this uncharted territory.
Right.
But before we sign off, let's give our listener a few key takeaways to chew on as they continue their own exploration of this fascinating field. What are the most important points that you want to leave them with?
Okay, so here are a few key takeaways to keep in mind. First of all, LLMs are powerful tools. They're powerful tools for simulating human behavior, but they're not perfect. They can generate some really impressive results, but we need to be mindful of their limitations, especially when it comes to capturing the depth and the complexity of human psychology. Second, data quality is paramount. The data that we use to train these models, it has a huge impact on their performance, their susceptibility to bias.
Right.
We need to carefully curate the data and ensure that it's diverse, that it's representative, that it's reflective of the real world. Third, agent design and environment design are crucial.
Right.
We need to create these more sophisticated agents with a richer understanding of human motivations, human values, and we need to embed them in environments that are challenging, that are realistic and reflective of the complexities of human societies. Fourth, transparency and accountability are essential.
Yeah.
We need to develop methods to understand how these models are making decisions, identify and mitigate their biases, and hold them accountable for their actions.
Absolutely.
And finally, the future of LLM simulations is bright, but it requires careful consideration of both the opportunities and the risks. We need to approach this technology with both enthusiasm and caution, ensuring that its development, its deployment align with human values and contribute to a more just and a more equitable world.
Those are some fantastic takeaways. They really highlight the key challenges and the opportunities in this rapidly evolving field. And for our listener out there, I encourage you to dive deeper into these topics, explore the research, and form your own opinions about the role of AI in simulating human behavior.
Right.
This is a conversation that's just beginning, and it's one that we all need to be a part of. So we've been talking about crypto trade, this fascinating case study where researchers use LLMs to simulate cryptocurrency trading.
Yeah, it's a wild one.
They tried to build an AI that could make really smart trading decisions based on both on-chain data, the actual transactions happening on the blockchain,
Right.
and off-chain data, all that news and rumors and analysis swirling around the market.
All the noise.
All the noise. So what did they learn from this experiment? Did they create an AI Warren Buffett?
Well, it wasn't quite as simple as that. As Figure 6 shows, one of the really surprising findings was that in a bear market, where prices are generally falling, crypto trade actually did worse than just holding on to the cryptocurrency and waiting for the market to recover.
Really? So even with all that data, all that processing power, the AI couldn't beat a simple buy and hold strategy.
That's right. It seems counterintuitive, right?
Oh, it does, yeah.
But I think it highlights the fact that while LLMs they're great at spotting patterns and analyzing data, they don't always have that same intuition or risk tolerance as a human trader. Humans can sometimes sense when a market is about to tank and pull out their money, even if the data doesn't really signal that yet.
Yeah. So it's like the AI was missing that gut feeling that experienced traders rely on.
Right.
That sense of when to cut your losses and run.
Yeah, that's it. And the paper, it goes into another really interesting quirk that they discovered, something they called factual bias.
Factual bias. Okay, tell me more about that.
So the researchers, they noticed that crypto trade, it tended to prioritize factual information, like the raw transaction data on the blockchain,
right,
over things like news articles or social media posts that reflect market sentiment. It was like the AI was this Spock-like logician, hyper-focused on the hard data and just ignoring the emotional side of the market.
So it's basically ignoring the hype and the fear, all those things that drive those irrational market swings.
Exactly. And you can see this in Figure 7. It played out in a really interesting way when they simulated the Ethereum Shanghai upgrade, both GPT 3.5 and GPT 4, which they used in the simulation. They kind of fixated on the factual aspects of the upgrade, the technical changes, the potential impact on the network.
Right.
But they didn't seem to grasp how the broader market might react emotionally to this big event.
Right.
Especially in a bear market where people are already kind of on edge.
So it's like the AI missed the forest for the trees.
Yeah.
Got so caught up in the technical details that it missed the bigger picture.
Yeah, it highlights this need for AI systems to not just process data, but also understand the nuances of human behavior and those often irrational forces that shape our decisions.
It's not enough to be smart. You got to have some emotional intelligence too.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah. So it's not just about those individual biases, right? The researchers also observed something pretty fascinating when they had multiple AI agents using the the same LLM to trade in the simulation.
Oh, yeah, that was interesting.
What happened when they put a bunch of these AI traders together?
So they started exhibiting this herd behavior.
Herd behavior, huh?
Because all the agents were essentially drawing from that same pool of knowledge, that same pool of biases. They ended up making very, very similar trading decisions,
right?
Which could lead to these really exaggerated market swings that you wouldn't see in a more diverse market with human traders.
So it's like, imagine you have a room full of investors,
right?
All following the same hot stock tip. Even if the tip is wrong, the sheer volume of trading activity it can create this temporary illusion of success until the bubble bursts.
Right, exactly. It shows how even in this world of AI, diversity of thought, independent analysis, they're really crucial for creating these stable and realistic market simulations.
Okay, so this crypto trade case study, it's full of fascinating insights. What are the key takeaways, the ones you think our listeners should really remember about the potential and the pitfalls of using LLMs for these complex simulations like this?
So one of the biggest lessons, I think, is that hybrid approaches are probably the way to go. We can leverage the incredible data crunching power of LLM, but still incorporate human oversight or intervention to make sure that the AI's decisions are really grounded in real world understanding and a bit of common sense.
So it's about finding that sweet spot where AI and human intelligence work together, each playing to their strengths.
Absolutely. It's like having a team of expert detectives working alongside this powerful AI analyst. The AI can, sift through those mountains of data. It can identify potential clues.
Right.
But the human detectives, they bring their experience, their judgment, their understanding of human nature to piece together that puzzle and make that final call.
It's a beautiful partnership.
It is.
What about the issue of bias that we talked about earlier? How can we make sure these AI systems aren't perpetuating harmful stereotypes or making these unfair decisions, especially in sensitive areas like finance?
So that's a crucial point. The authors, they highlight the need for bias mitigation, which means developing techniques to identify and address those biases that can just sneak into LLM outputs. This could involve, being really careful about the data we use to train these models, making sure that it's diverse, it's representative of different perspectives. It could also mean, developing algorithms that are less susceptible to bias, or incorporating human oversight to make sure that the AI's decisions are really aligned with our ethical and societal values.
So it's not just about making these AI systems, smarter. It's about making them fairer and more aligned with human value.
Exactly. We can't just unleash these powerful AI tools into the world without thinking about the potential consequences.
Right.
We need to guide their development in a way that benefits society and doesn't worsen existing inequalities.
That's a great point. And speaking of evaluating these systems, the researchers also emphasized the need for better metrics. Beyond just simple measures like profit and loss.
Right.
What kind of metrics would capture a more nuanced picture of how well an AI is simulating human behavior?
So they suggest that we need to look not just at the outcomes, but also at the process. How did the AI arrive at its decisions? What factors did it consider? How did its strategies evolve over time? We need these metrics that capture that richness, that complexity of human decision making, not just the bottom line.
So it's like evaluating a chess play, not just on whether they won or lost, but on the elegance of their moves, their strategic thinking, their ability to adapt to their opponent's style.
Exactly. We need to move beyond those simplistic measures and find ways to evaluate these simulations in a more holistic way, a way that really reflects that multifaceted nature of human behavior.
This deep dive into the world of LLMs and their potential to simulate human behavior it's truly illuminating.
Hmm.
It's clear that we're just beginning to scratch the surface of what's possible with this technology, and there are both these exciting opportunities and these important challenges ahead. As we wrap up, what's the one key takeaway, the one you'd want our listener to really ponder as they continue exploring this fascinating field?
I think the biggest takeaway is that LLMs are these incredibly powerful tools,
Yeah.
but they're not magic. We need to approach them with this healthy mix of enthusiasm and skepticism, recognizing their transformative potential, but also being mindful of their limitations and those ethical considerations that they raise.
I love that. A balanced perspective.
Yeah.
That acknowledges both the wonder and the responsibility that come with this powerful new technology. And for our listener out there, I encourage you to stay curious, keep learning, and join the conversation about how we shape the future of AI and its role in our lives. Thanks for joining us on this deep dive.